So good afternoon. I'm going to call our regular council meeting to order. Thank you to all of those who are joining us online. Mr. Coleman, we have an agenda in front of us. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Madam Chair, no additions or deletions from administration today.
Okay, with that, could I have someone move as presented? Councillor Balazar, all in favor? Unanimous. Just for notice, we do have Councillor Smith joining us via phone. Are you there, Councillor Smith? Are you there, Councillor Smith? I will leave it to administration to let us know when. Councillor Smith, is that you?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'll mute now.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Smith, we will assume you are in favor of an item unless you say you are not. That's what we've done in the past. So with that, we'll move on to the adoption of the previous minutes, December 14th. Someone want to move those? Councillor Wanchuk, all in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. On to public presentations. We have an opportunity at the beginning of every council meeting for someone who'd like to address council for any item that is not on the agenda can do so now. I am seeing no one come forward. Mr. Meriglod, could you just check out in the entryway and see if there's anyone there, just to be sure? Thank you very much. We have no one. So with that, we will move on to item number 5A, which is a notice of intention to expropriate lot 5, block 1. Go ahead, Mr. Meriglod, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report has to deal with the expropriation of 0.191 hectares from Plan 0622-076, Block 1, Lot 5. We received, as you know, we received a grant from the Government of Canada to construct the Nisku Spine Road. Some road acquisition is necessary for this project to proceed. A portion of a northwest corner of Lot 062-2076, Lot 1, Lot 5 is necessary to complete the project. To ensure that this project will be able to proceed with the remainder of the construction next year, Leduc County has started the expropriation process for the necessary road right-of-way. Proceeding with the expropriation process will ensure that the lands are available next year for the construction of this road. As per the legislation, the expropriation was advertised in the Leduc Representative on November 19th, 2021 and December 3rd, 2021, meeting the requirements of the Act. And this requested that any objection be served to the approving authority being Leduc County. Additionally, anyone else who is required to be notified, essentially people who are registered on title through caveat, so gas companies, things of that nature, were also contacted. As of the writing of this report, no objections to this expropriation have yet been received by the county. So the resolution that's in front of you today basically allows the municipality to proceed with the remainder of the process for the expropriation. The original resolution was a notice of expropriation that we have an intention to do so. This actually moves forward with the process. Right now, we do have the appraisal for the property underway as we speak, so we're going to have that in place, and our solicitor will then move forward with the necessary paperwork in order to proceed with the expropriation of this corner of the parcel. As I did mention earlier, in the earlier report rather, there is a subdivision that is underway for this parcel as we speak. It may have been registered or sent to land titles by the time we have spoken. However, it's at least a 2-month process to get anything registered at land titles. So until that plan is with land titles and registered, this expropriation needs to proceed to ensure that either through the subdivision process or expropriation process, that we will have the necessary property to proceed with this project. If the subdivision is registered prior to the expropriation process being completed, we'll simply abandon the expropriation process at that point in time.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any questions for administration? Mr. Meriglod, you'd said we have not received any notice against this to this point. Is there a deadline at which people can no longer put in a complaint about this or not agree with it?
This was actually within the ad, and I believe the date was, I'm just going to confirm that it was today. within 21 days of the publication of the notification. So so we've met all the intentions of those. So should be no concerns received now.
Good news, and we know that the Nisku Spine Road is absolutely critical to our continued development in the industrial and business sector, and look forward to the building of that. Any further questions? Councillor Lewis?
Thank you. Des, can you tell me what happens if, as you had mentioned, that the subdivision has gone to land titles? What's our next steps?
Well, once it goes to land titles, it still needs to be registered with land titles. So it could either be accepted by land titles, where it then gets registered, assign a plan number, the road right of way is then registered, and then we have ownership, care, and control of that road right of way, which means the expropriation process is no longer necessary. The other thing that could happen is it could be submitted to land titles. Land titles could reject it for any number of reasons. Then the applicant can either correct it and resubmit, or simply not resubmit and abandon the subdivision process. That's why we need to continue on with the expropriation processes in the event that it does happen to get rejected by land titles or not originally submitted, and the applicant chooses not to reapply for some reason or resubmit.
Thank you. Seeing nothing else, looking for a mover of the expropriation. Councillor Balazer will move the expropriation. It is a very long recommendation. We won't read it. We understand what it is and why it's important. Motion is on the floor. Councillor Vandenberg.
Just a clarity question. We'll try and get a piece somewhere in there. Why couldn't we just move it? The roadway to the north has already been constructed, and it's just simply not possible without starting to realign sections of the road to the north and entire intersection, which includes the signals and everything. So it becomes a pretty significant endeavor at this point in time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm seeing no further questions. All in favor? That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. On to 5B1, which is a direct control application. Mr. Mohammed. And Ms. Haverland. Whenever you are set up and ready, please begin your presentation.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, council members and staff. This is a development permit application in a direct control district. So the development permit is D21-327 for a frame and fabric structure, 238 square meter. It will be located on northeast 1950-24 west of the 4th meridian. Applicant is Force Inspection. Yeah, and landowner is a numbered company. The area of the parcel is 62.59 hectare, and address is 1720 13th Street, Nisku. So that's the location of the parcel in the context of the county. That's the aerial photo. So to the east is Queda Vista, and to the west is the industrial lands in Nisku, south of 625. This is the site photo submitted by the applicant. So where the frame and fabric structure will be located. These are some of the site photos. In the photo to the right, there is a berm, which is shielding the properties from Queda Vista. The land use districts of the property, as you see the star, this is the direct control. To the east is agriculture with a White Mud Creek running through it, and the country residential is to the further to the east, and the industrial lands to the west. So that was the application submitted to us. There's the site plan, which shows the location of the frame and fabric structure. This is based on the site plan where the structure will be located, the building plan, and that's the background of the property. So as I mentioned, the subject lands are located within Nisku Business Park, south of Highway 625. And the total area is already mentioned. The Blackmart Creek area structure plan is applicable document and has identified direct control area for business park development. The intent was to accommodate a range of land uses that are compatible with industrial development on the west and to work as a buffer to existing residential development. The approved development comprised of inspection building, machining facility, office space, and outdoor storage. The current application is to construct that frame and fabric structure for the storage of machinery parts. This is on a developed parcel, 10.5 hectare in size, and off-site levies have been paid for this, this portion of the parcel. The land use bylaw provisions are being provided in the report. Basically says council has jurisdiction on development as a development authority for development within DC districts. Frame and fabric structures, our regulations allow them for 5 years. General purpose of the district, DC district, that what it says that if there are unusual site conditions and unique characteristics, then those lands are being zoned as direct control. And uses are being determined in the direct control by the council. So I look into the policies that affect this parcel. So a number of policies affect this parcel. One is Edmonton Metropolitan Regional Plan. The other is Municipal Development Plan. So Edmonton Metropolitan Regional Growth Plan supports this kind of development. And it says intensification will optimize existing and planned infrastructure. The Municipal Development Plan cites this area as a major employment area. Broad range of employment uses are encouraged within the major employment area. Redevelopment and intensification of land is encouraged within major employment areas to increase the density and development over time. Nisku MAC, which is recently approved by the council, it says that buffer or transitional land uses are required for non-residential development adjacent to vistas. So, and Nisku Central area, this parcel is located within the Nisku Central area of the MAC plan. And it envisions different types of uses, light industrial, commercial, but then we do have design policies in the Nisku MAC, which talks about the use of buffers or transitional land uses shall be required to minimize conflicts between industrial and residential development. Blackmart Creek plan, this was approved in 2004 and through a community consultation process, and it says no development shall be approved that would produce airborne contaminants, dust, vibration. So basically, this plan was to protect the people living in vistas. We referred this application to people in Queda Vista and adjacent properties. I got two comments. One is from resident one who says that fundamentally we are not opposed to this development. I would like, however, to add that we fought hard to oppose the initial development of the pipe yard where this structure is proposed. And this resident is opposing this development based that some previous conditions are not being followed by the developer. So in the discussion, the proposed accessory building, as I mentioned earlier, is to support the already approved industrial general use as an accessory development. The various planning policies that affect this parcel are supporting this, except the Blackmart Creek ASP, which usually talks about business park development. And when we look into the specifics of it, it's this development is being protected by a berm, like it's not visible, and it will be only used for storing of machinery parts. And the main use is already there. So in our opinion, this application supports like the policies and already existing policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Any questions for administration about the application or the presentation? Counselor, Vandenberg. Okay.
Can you tell me how many complaint reports have been filed or reported to your department or our peace officers department in regards to noise mitigate complaints and hours of operation complaints?
So, Madam Mayor, the thing is that when the original application was approved in 2017, I do remember that there was a complaint about people working outside of their hours, as far as I know. I don't know about the complaint being received by the bylaw enforcement services. And, but up to my knowledge, like recently, we have not received any complaints.
Thank
If I
you.
may.
Supplemental.
So supplemental, the information presented before us does not have all the information. By law enforcement, peace officers have in fact gone out on a number of occasions. I have been a part of an email chain with concerns from the residents and some follow-up conversations with that group, as well as yours. So I just want to point out that there has been concern about compliance with this operator. And the residents have a number of them on a number of occasions try to report and convey their concerns.
Ms. Haberland, did you want to respond? Or
Yes,
Mr. Mohammed? Go
through the
ahead.
mayor. I can respond to the additional question as well from Councillor Vandenberg. So planning and development, yes, have received approximately, I don't have it the, tip exactly how many, but probably in the ballpark of a dozen complaints regarding this development. The complaints stemmed from not all of the East Vistas people. They only stemmed from a couple of the landowners that do live there. However, they have continually called, not within this past year so much, but before that, they were very prominent about calling regarding their operation on Sundays and after hours. We do know forest inspection does keep the yard locked and secured. However, they do have loads that do arrive on Sundays, which they do allow the loads to come in, which of course then does stem from a complaint coming in that they are operating on a Sunday. They don't have the office open on Sundays, but they do end up with trucks coming sometimes on a Sunday. And yes, enforcement services has gone out there, and in the timing that we go out there, of course, the gates are now locked and the truck driver's gone. We have spoken to force numerous times on this. They have been compliant with planning regarding the concerns of the residents. I believe that they work the best they can with what they have in place, and being at the economy that we have, they certainly don't want to turn down business when a truck does have to do a delivery on a Sunday, but they are conscious about the vistas and they do understand their concerns. And we as well have met with force on a one-on-one basis, trying to work with them as well. So the application in front of us today is for just a structure that is being placed on the development. The development itself has already been approved by council. So therefore, in question today is not the development itself regarding the actual use of the property. It is a proposal for a structure to go over top of existing material on the parcel.
Okay, Councillor Vandenberg, do you have something supplemental?
I
Or-
do.
Go ahead.
This is a direct control permit. The reason is such that this type of applications and behavior come before council.
Yep.
We have the discretion based on the applicant getting an approved permit, as long as they abide by their conditions. Direct control. Unfortunately, this permit was granted for 5 years. I think as a matter of practice, we don't go with that period of time, because when issues do arise, there doesn't seem to be anything we can do about it. And it's almost thought, well, when your DC comes up for approval again with council, then, that's the only, that seems to be the biggest weighted stick that people who are having to live adjacent to and live around that has. So I'm a little bit concerned that in the beginning, there was a non-compliance with this permit, and specifically the operating on Sundays. And numerous conversations still prompted operation on Sundays. Additional to that is the noise, but it's probably picked up more so on Saturday and Sunday when everybody's home trying to enjoy their days off. So yes, this is about a temporary structure, a portable shelter, but the bigger picture is you're having a group who has had a track record of non-compliance come before us asking for something. And at this point in time, I have to represent those people that have to put up with this in terms of the non-compliance. And so I need to make it clear to council as to what is going on with this type of operation. And yes, we have a separation, but it's Blackmart Creek. And in this case, with a pipe yard, a little bit different than any other kind of, the pipe yards, make noise. And in the wintertime, it carries even more so. So I just want this to be pointed out for council consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Vandenberg. I would be happy to put my name to the recommendation. It is a 5-year honor before. We have heard both that there were some complaints, and we have heard from administration that those are being dealt with the best we can. I do understand how the company would be stuck with somebody who shows up on a Sunday. So you either leave the truck there idling till Monday, you unload it. Perhaps we could discuss with the company. I know you can use lights instead of backup beepers on some of their equipment, that might help to alleviate that noise concern with the neighbors. But I believe that allowing the company to put up their frame and fabric structure will enhance their business and will certainly perhaps help us back on our road to recovery. So I will support it by putting my name to the recommendation, and the floor is open for any other comments. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you. Just a question. Can you tell me when their 5-year permit is up for their previous development?
So through the mayor, the original permit was approved in 2017, and it was not given a 5-year permit renewal. And that actually is very common when it comes to direct control permits within NISCU. Time limit permits are usually proposed on direct control parcels out within the county, not within the business park itself. The main reason there's a 5-year temporary period on this permit is because frame and fabrics within the land use bylaw only allows for approval for a 5-year basis. And that is due to the structure itself, that it seems to wear down within that 5-year period.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Councillor Vandenberg.
I, for one, am not objecting to the tool for them to operate their business. What I'm objecting to is they were to perform within conditions that were approved by this group, and they have not. I will say that I have not heard anything in the past less than a year, but this needs to be a strong signal that going out there, what's the point of giving conditions if you're not going to abide by them? And if you don't abide by them, what are the consequences? We don't have any. And the people that pay taxes on the other side and all around, they're looking at us to resolve, because we're the only ones that can resolve these issues. We're not resolving them. So I will not be supporting this for that principle today.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Scobie.
Question on that, how often are these occurrences happening that they're working on Sunday? Like this every Sunday that they've got numerous trucks coming in, or is it once a month that they've got a truck coming in? Is there any record of that?
You can go ahead if you want.
Madam Mayor, the thing is that one thing which I want to clarify further, that for this particular application, we increased the referral area And the whole intent was that we take the feedback from the community. And like it was a small structure, but giving importance to the community, we enlarged the area and send it to a lot of people. We got 2 comments. So that means that because it's an accessory use to that industrial journal. Coming to your question, they are not supposed to be working on Sundays because their previous permit conditions them from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. So if someone is working on Sunday and brought to our attention, we will definitely work on that.
Okay, Mr. Bain would like to add.
Madam Chair, and I'll ask the presenters to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think there's some language in the conditions in the existing permit that permit operation outside of normal hours based on emergency operations or something to that effect. So there's always been a bit of a gray area around this. It's not necessarily black and white that they actually have ever operated outside conditions. It's certainly been the feeling of the residents to the east that's been the case. And certainly they've made that case to us to the extent that we've intervened and had some direct discussions with the operators of the business. And we've worked with them over a period of time. And so it's probably been, I'm going to say it's been 2 to 3 years since we've had to do that. From our observation would be they've been compliant during that period of time, as far as we know. But I don't want council to be left with the impression that there's absolute non-compliance here. There's a question there that may be the case.
All right, thank you for that. All right, any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Vandenberg, thank you. Thank you very much. On to Ms. Weiss and Perk and Dirk, his brother. Provincial education request, requisition credit and designated industrial requisition credit.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. Yes, I'm here with 3 recommendations. The first one is the PERC and the DIRC. So PERC stands for Provincial Education Requisition Credit, and DIRC is the Designated Industrial Requisition Credit. So these 2 programs were put into place in 2017 as a way for municipalities to manage undue hardships due to uncollectible accounts from linear, orphan wells, that type of thing. So each year we go through our accounts and they're specified which assessment classes they are. Each year we go through that and we look for any that have been identified as either orphan well under the orphan well site as having no financial means and or we can't locate them in order to pay their bill. So we went through that process. Then in 2021, what the province did is they changed how the program is being, how we apply for the PERC and the DIRC credits. So typically at this time of the year, I'd come to you with a write-off recommendation, and then using that write-off recommendation, we would go forward. They've now changed it so we no longer have to do the write-off. And we just have to get a council recommendation acknowledging the submission of the PERC and the DIRC. So I can tell you we're looking at a PERC credit of $19,290.92 and a DIRC credit of $427.59. So those come from approximately, well, $62,579 in total tax dollars. There's 17 different roll numbers, and of those, 16 of 17 have already been written off in previous years. So what's happening is the province continues to assess them, which is completely out of our control. So.
Okay, so this allows for a collection of a small portion, about a third of the money that we were actually owed, but a third is better than 0%.
Yes, and the other part of that recommendation is they want to ensure that our recommendation states that we remain obligated to remit the education property tax requisition to AF, Alberta School Foundation Fund, for those properties.
As we always have.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. We have a recommendation. Someone want to move the recommendation? Councillor Lewis, that we acknowledge Perk and Dirk and the amounts $19,290.92 and $427.59. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. 5C2 property tax write-off.
Okay, so as part of that review of the tax accounts, we also review other tax accounts. And these two are quite old in our system. We feel that they cannot be, we will not recover these funds. As you can see, the last tax levy was in 2016. The penalty is actually more than the tax levy, so we've just been penalizing every year. And same with the second one. It was a 2014 tax levy, and one individual is deceased. There's a lot of, anyway, they will not be recovered. So, so our recommendation is to write off the $1,126.
Ms. Weiss, if the owner of this account number were to start a new business in the county, would we be able to collect once we write this off?
So typically we're able to control and look at a lot of the tax receivables by way of tax notification and the tax sale process. There are some properties that we are not able to put that tax notification on their land.
So
these are two of those.
Thank you. So we've tried everything. Writing them off allows us to clean up our books. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'm seeing none. Thank you, Councillor Wanchuk. Will move that we write off $1,126.21 on the following tax account balances. Any comments on that? All in favor? My taxes. Oh, that's unanimous. On to 5C3 annual external audit letters and fraud response letter.
Yeah, so as a kickoff to our year end, we have received the annual.
You make it sound fun.
Right? It is fun for some of us. We have received some of the annual letters from the audit, though these come forward to council for review. So I won't go through them in great detail. I'll touch on a couple of items. So the audit engagement letter, which is the first attachment, basically outlines the terms of the engagement with respect to the audit and the financial statements. The audit planning letter then outlines the objectives of the audit. And just a couple of things for administration to worry about for next year is on page 5, they go into some of the new public sector accounting board standards. So we do have a couple of new PSAB standards that are coming forward, not for this year end, but for next year.
2022 year end.
Yeah, so we're going to start working towards those in during the 2022. So there was a couple of those that are coming forward. And finally, the last piece is a letter from council. So through reviewing this audit planning letter, it is council's opportunity to identify if they feel there's any actual suspected or alleged fraud within Leduc County. This letter, I've prepared it for you, but if you feel that if any of you feels that there may be actual suspected or alleged fraud, this is absolutely your opportunity to put that in this letter and let the auditors know, and they'll look into it with a little bit more detail.
Okay, and so this is really a standard yearly sort of operation. Okay.
Yeah.
Except for the new standards that we will be implementing for 2022. Any other questions on the annual external audit letters and fraud response letter? I am seeing none. Looking for someone to move that we accept the audit engagement and planning letters as information and review and approve the fraud response letter. Councillor Scobie, thank you very much. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
And here's where we can spend that $427. Mr. Honesty, come on forward.
Good afternoon. The first item is equipment replacement for a Parks utility vehicle. During the last summer, August 2021, we had a theft of our UTV that we use at the Jubilee Park campground. That vehicle has not been recovered, And we've gone through the process of some recovery of some funds through insurance. After deductible, we received $3,940, which helps, but obviously is not sufficient to replace the required UTV. Our hope is with council support of some reserve funds that we will be able to identify the appropriate amounts and place an order. The reason we're bringing it forward now is because there is a backlog on some of the types of equipment. So we're hoping to have those in place for the campground season 2022. So our request to council is up to $12,000 from the capital asset life cycle management fleet management reserve.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions on the request? Councillor Vandenberg.
How detrimental is the UTV to your operations?
Yeah, it's a pretty essential vehicle. We've looked at other mechanisms and we do have vehicles out there as well, but that is the vehicle used daily by parks maintenance as well as the officers to for roaming around, cleaning the outhouses, collecting garbage. And it's used every day during the operating season, as well as in the shoulder seasons. We'll use it through our park reserve staff as well, through general maintenance as well.
Supplemental, and then Councillor Balazer.
And what kind of procedural change can you give me to give me more assurance that this next unit will not be so easily gathered up and stolen? So in other words, was there learnings from the last one? And before I as a councillor approve money spent on this one, I want reassurance that there's extra measures going into place, including removing it day to day, that ensures that we're not going to have you in front of us again asking for more money.
Yeah, correct. So we've definitely enhanced that focus in our training, as well as implemented into our daily log checklist, our daily task list, just to make sure that that it's stored correctly, which it was, but also that the vehicles are locked in a separate location, or the keys, sorry, the keys are locked in a separate location.
Okay, and I have Mr. Thomas wants to add.
If I may, Madam Chair, just to supplement what Mr. Honesty says, in our departmental operational plans, we are implementing an AVL for 2022. So this will help, as we will mark that vehicle and be able to locate it through the AVL
We'll
system.
know where it is. Okay. Councillor Balazer and then Councillor Lewis.
And can I get any cue? Thank you.
Yes, then Councillor Smith.
Most of us out on our farms and acres have replacement costs insurance on our vehicles like that. Do we not have replacement? Are we just insured? Because replacement allows you to replace that at what it was worth.
Yeah, with the county program, and something we'll have to look at is it's the deductible. So it's a $5,000 deductible, which encompasses all vehicles. And then unfortunately for the small vehicles such as this, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So either we have to look at that administratively for the future, but it doesn't with the deductible. Once the deductible of 5,000 is removed, then it kind of defeats the purpose there.
Yep, see it. Good question. Go ahead, Councillor Lewis, and then Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Seeing as the theft was in August, can you explain why this wasn't put on budget for 2022?
Yeah, our intent was to follow through with the process, and then there was a process of time to understand how insurance coverage was going to cover us, as well as the possibility that that vehicle would be recovered. I think there was a small period of time there where we thought maybe it was recoverable, but it hasn't been.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
Again, I know why it's created we the vehicle, but the move the rec to move money from that purchase of a UTV.
Okay, you'll move the recommendation to authorize up to $12,000 from capital asset lifecycle management, fleet management reserves to replace a utility vehicle. And I assume this is a side-by-side?
Similar, but you wouldn't think of it as the speed fancy ones, the very low speed industrial type. Yeah, no, exactly.
All right, Councillor Vandenberg, we have a motion on the floor, so any discussion?
I just want to be clear on the math here a little bit. So you're asking us for the full purchase price, 15 grand, up to 15 grand. I understand that correctly. However, if we run it through insurance, they'll give us $39.40 less the deductible, which is, can you explain that to me?
The 3940 is the actual amount we've received from them. So that's less. So they've valued the vehicle at 8,000.
$940.
That's what the vehicle's valued at, less the 5,000. So the cash that we have in hand right now is 3,940.
Instead of full replacement.
Correct.
Why wouldn't we have gone with full replacement?
Well, we did, but less the deductible.
Okay,
Right. Yeah, it's
Thank
a
you.
full replacement value, but they take the deductible off.
now I understand.
So the 39 added to the 12 should give you enough for a very basic side by side.
Yeah, and we'll fully tender that out. We have some
Yes.
quotes that gave us an idea,
Yeah.
but obviously we say up to because we'll make sure we get the best value pricing.
It's unfortunate that it was stolen. I mean, it really is a sign of the times about how things go missing. And hopefully, the increase, the AVL, which means we can track it, as well as your increased control and custody of the vehicle should help moving forward. So we have a motion to approve. Councillor Vandenberg?
So I'm hoping that you'll use the principles of CEPTED that the RCMP have done a very good job of outlining to us to prevent any sticky finger operation for in the future. I use that in my property and it seems to work out well. And certainly the keys should not be left in. Thank you.
We leave our keys in so people can just take them without breaking into another building. All right, there's always a different way to do things. We have a motion to approve by Councillor Smith. All in favor? That's unanimous. And I need someone to move us in camera. Councillor Balazer, thank you very much. All in favor? It's unanimous. We'll wait until we are offline. Thank you for all.
Move out of camera?
We did.
Yeah, Larry moved us out of camera.
Vote on it.
Oh, all in favor out of camera, please. Thank you. That's carried.
Adjourn?
Just
No?
waiting for Rick Thomas's fingers.
Go live to adjourn.
We are back from our in-camera session and we are moving to adjourn. Someone want to make that motion? Councillor Vandenberg, thanks very much. All in favor? That is carried. Thanks everyone for joining us.
See how it works.